Hello, friends. So what would I be doing if I wasn't here, going to medical school? It's a question I've put a lot of thought into on account of how competitive medical school is. I think the overall acceptance rate is like 40s, 30s percentage wise. So a majority of the people who apply to medical school do not get accepted in a given year. Now, some people will apply more than once, so that skews the statistics a certain way, but and that's not counting the people who took the MCAT with hopes of getting into medical school, but didn't receive a high enough score and therefore decided not to apply. It doesn't include the people who wanted to go to medical school coming out of high school, going into college, but didn't do well enough on freshman year biology or even sophomore year organic chemistry. And it doesn't count the people who I can think of at least two examples from EMU. It doesn't count the people who are academically competent, but after having seen what the practice of medicine entails, they decided they didn't want to be a doctor and therefore didn't apply. So the number of people who leave high school and go to college wanting to eventually enroll in medical school is much higher than the number of people who ultimately end up in medical school. And there are people who didn't intend to go to medical school when they graduated high school and then end up in medical school, so there is that too. Yeah, I've put a lot of thought into it because a lot of people who want to be here don't get to be here. So one thing I've thought about is teaching. You know what they say, if you can't do, teach, and if you can't teach gym. No. I'm not a big fan of that expression because quality teachers are important. Teaching is a type of doing. Even teaching gym is a type of doing. But I did honestly have that kind of thought process that teaching would be a good second option if I didn't get into medical school. I've also considered writing. There was one point sophomore year where I called my parents and was like, hey, if I decided to change my writing to English so that way I could write, would you guys be supportive of that decision? And they were like, yeah. And I'm like, cool, I'm not going to make that decision though. I was just kind of curious to see if my parents would be supportive of it. I mean, I still write for fun, I enjoy it, but it's not my career, but I do think it could have been my career in another life. Especially in like March and April of 2018, I was especially worried about what I would do if I didn't get into medical school because I hadn't been accepted and I had a number of interviews, so I was quite afraid that I wouldn't be. And so my plan at the time was get a scribing job, so worked in an emergency room, just writing notes for doctors. And then if I hadn't got accepted, I probably would have applied a third time. But if I didn't get in a third time, I think I probably would have... There were a number of thoughts going around my head, like, should I try applying to be a physician's assistant? Should I go back to school to be a teacher? Should I just continue to scribe and write? I was quite undecided as to what course of action I should take. And then I got my acceptance email, and then I didn't have to make that decision. I spent probably a couple hours every week thinking about what my future should involve if it wasn't going to involve this, and I was quite undecided. So when I finally got that acceptance email, I was thrilled because it meant I got to pursue my dream. It meant that I didn't have to spend hours trying to choose what my second option should be. It just meant like I know what I'm going to do now. And it was a level of certainty that was really very comforting. Peace.